everyone, it's Claire from Shergroup. How are you today? Hope you're in a good place. So this is our Facebook Live for St Patrick's Day. So for all of us that have got a little bit of Irish in us and a little bit of Celt, that's never a bad combination. So I hope you're all having a fantastic day. And even if you haven't got any Irish, it's just another reason to celebrate, isn't it? And with everything that's going on in the world, I hope you can go and have a drink somewhere in your time zone and just celebrate the terrific contribution the Irish have made to the populations of the world. Certainly in my own family, I can trace my maternal grandfather back to Cork in Southern Ireland, and my father's family come from Galway. So I've got plenty of Irish in me, and I've got a son with red hair to prove it. So there we go. So welcome to this Facebook Live. I'm going to introduce Anthony again today because we're going to be talking about claims and legal claims. Shout out to my favourite boy, Ross. How you doing? Hope good. And you know, we've got some great fans of Shergroup. Angie Doy, Wendy McLean, thank you so much for your support. Rhonda Jackson, Amy Benton, all saying they want to come on Facebook Live and be interviewed by me. So that's a great thing to see happening. So I'm just waiting for Anthony now to join us. Let's just see if I can add him. So how are you today?
I'm okay, thank you very much indeed.
You've been to your BNI meeting in Manchester today?
Yes, I have, and done my 10-minute presentation.
Fantastic. Okay.
In our new venue.
Sorry?
In our new venue.
In your new venue. It looked very posh. I could see the photos. Okay. So we have my cousin from Lincoln watching today. So say hello to Margaret. She's watching. There you go. Okay. So we're going to talk about something that is a bit of a dry old subject, but we love it at Shergroup. And that is about issuing county court claims. And Anthony, you last week were explaining your expertise in this, and you've been doing this for 20 years plus. And so I just wanted to sort of outline to our sort of viewers where this fits into their business, how this helps their business in terms of recovering their cash. Hello, Linda. And why it's important. So why do you think the legal claim process, we talk about CCJs and legal claim, why do you think that's important for businesses?
I mean, I personally think that a lot of firms that aren't law firms often don't understand the process, think it's unnecessarily complicated and expensive, and possibly neglect it. But of course, in my view, it's the best way to secure your debt.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's pretty easy now, isn't it? I mean, the UK has a fabulous system, doesn't it, in terms of the money claim online system from government, which enables people to issue their claims really easily.
Yes, I completely agree with you. It probably does need a little bit of an update. But what I would say is quite often when it's perhaps a litigant in person, or it's somebody who doesn't have a great knowledge or isn't legally trained, they do tend to often make errors which then need correcting by somebody who does have the legal training. So that does happen quite often. That, you know, there've been a number of people that I've dealt with recently that have, for want of a better word, sort of mucked up the process and need it to be fixed, which is obviously slightly more expensive if they'd have come to us in the first place.
Yes, no, I understand that. But of course, not everybody can get to see a solicitor. Not everybody wants to use a solicitor. So shout out to solicitors out there. You do a great job. There's a lot of us. But are you being approachable enough? Are you making your clients and customers feel welcome? You know, I think that's something that is a work in progress for all professions, not just solicitors. But and then there are people that just don't think they need a solicitor, and they are the litigants in person, so they don't have a solicitor, they don't have legal advice, they do it themselves. And we are comfortable with that as long as people understand that they can drop the ball, can't they, Anthony? We do see that.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, so before you issue a legal claim on your customer, and usually we're talking about B2B debt, um, when you issue a claim against a customer, you've got to send this letter before action. That's another bit of legal jargon. Do you want to explain what that means for people who
Yes, I
give
mean,
evidence
obviously,
for the first time?
prior to commencing a small claim, if it's a limited entity, then you need to send a letter before legal action and allow 7 days to respond before you issue proceedings. If, of course, it is an individual, then the process is slightly more convoluted. It takes a lot longer because you have to send a different letter, which is worded differently, uh, and you have to send that in accordance with the pre-action protocol for debt claims for individuals. So you have to allow the debtor 30 days to respond. You have to send the pre-action protocol for debt claims court leaflet with it. And you have to also engage with the debtor, an individual debtor, if they fill in the forms partially completed or incorrectly. So the court want to see with individuals that you exhaust all the steps that you're able to before commencing proceedings.
Mm. I'm not a great fan of the pre-debt protocol. I think it's bureaucracy gone mad. I actually sat many years ago on the Law Society Working Party on that very topic, and it's just created a serious delay because when you say you have to serve that on individuals, those individuals could be, rogue builders, you know, trades that have worked for their customers, and then they don't deliver. And in fact, Shergroup has a fan, a lady called Rosemary Nation. I don't know if you're watching today, Rosemary, but I do know that you follow Shergroup and have watched us on Facebook because you've sent me messages. And she was a customer who had a conservatory, and she was a senior citizen, and she sued her conservatory installer for £14,000 and then couldn't get the money back. So we know that people take advantage of the delays built into the system. There are of course protections, but they also, for those that don't want to pay, they are also um, hurdles that
Yeah,
people
I
have to
mean,
overcome.
my personal view on that is that the idea behind it was correct, and it's to help genuine people, who are struggling, who are perhaps not able to pay their debts. But unfortunately, it is abused by people to avoid their contractual obligations and pay their creditor, in my personal opinion.
Yes. Well, from our point of view, I suppose it's we'll give them all that protection if it gets to enforcement, and a judgment's entered. They'll get those considerations on their vulnerabilities at that stage, but to actually get the claim issued, I just think it's a little bit of an unnecessary hurdle. That's my personal view. It may not be everybody else's, but I do think, at the time it comes to enforcement, which is the really sharp end of this process, that there's lots of safeguards built in. So, what does it cost to issue a county court claim? I mean, in general terms, I know it's picky, but what would you say to people about that?
Well, I mean, it's obviously it's incremental. It's based upon the principal sum outstanding. Um, what I would say the benefits of using Shergroup are is we have qualified solicitors and legal executive, etc., who can issue the claim on your behalf. Um, if you go on Money Claims Online and issue it, and if you get Shergroup to issue it, the only real difference will be that Shergroup will be entitled to the fixed solicitor's recoverable costs, which,
Sure.
of course, irrespective of the value of your debt, are capped at £100. So that fee is also recoverable in the event that the matter is successful. So, should you issue your claim, and it's paid in full, then essentially it shouldn't really cost you anything because we have done the work on your behalf and recovered the funds on your behalf.
Yeah. I mean, it's not terribly expensive. The court fee is the court fee. There's no getting away from that. And then government prescribe what fixed solicitors' costs are on the claim, which again are very reasonable. So there's no hourly rate. There's no need to pay up front. certainly in our process. Other people may see that differently. But I would say if you are using a solicitor to recover debt and you are paying an hourly rate, then shop around. Certainly you can come to Shergroup, but there are plenty of solicitors out there who are not charging upfront fees. And I've been a bit aghast really to hear from all our conversations with our community just how many people are coming to us and have been charged an upfront fee and then nothing has been done. Um, and you know, this to me is not fair. You know, you're recovering a debt, you're not trying to put debt on top of debt. And therefore, you know, creditors want a good value solution, don't they? Where they're not being, you know, taken to the cleaners for more money than they need to. And we've
Yes, absolutely. Could not agree with you more. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I don't like. So don't pay upfront fees to debt collection agencies or solicitors firms. As I say, there's plenty of DCAs and solicitors who will do it, and certainly we're very reasonable. You can always talk to someone like Anthony if you need some help and support. Now, what about complex claims? What about claims? I mean, we've had one claim recently involving a demolition company that have sued a celebrity actually, and it's all become very complicated. Now we have a solution for that, don't we? Do you want to talk about that solution?
Yes, we partner with a firm where essentially it's insured litigation. So if you have a substantial debt where the court fee is potentially prohibitive, and you perhaps don't have the money for that court fee, or you don't have the confidence in spending the money on that court fee, then we work with a partner who will take the matter on your behalf, and rather than you spend any monies, they will take a cut of the sum once the settlement is agreed.
Yeah, I mean, in that particular case, the amount claimed was £140,000 for demolition services provided on site. I think the court fee was £7,000 because obviously once you get into a large claim value, the court fee does escalate, you know, it does go up. And the client didn't have the cash flow to pay the court fee. So if you're dealing with a large value claim and you want the whole thing insured, which means that somebody goes and looks at your claim and assesses whether you've got a good chance of winning, then they'll insure everything for you so that you can continue with your claim. And that's a great outcome. That's so if you are interested in that service, and again, please contact us and we'll put you in touch with our partner. But we think that's a great solution for many businesses that would otherwise have to write those debts off. And just at the moment, you'd probably rather have the cash in your bank than be writing debt off. So that's how we deal with complex claims. How do you think Shergroup adds value to other debt recovery solicitors? I mean, there's plenty of debt recovery solicitors out there, and I bet some of them are watching this Facebook Live. How do you think we add value to what they're doing? Because what they're doing is, you know, is all part and parcel of the credit industry. What would you say about how Shergroup fits in with them?
Well, I would say that obviously we had value from 3 points really. We're slightly different to just being debt recovery solicitors because, of course, we're a debt recovery firm, we're a firm of solicitors, and we're an enforcement firm. So I would say the value with us is it's a one-stop shop. You get to use us from start to finish. You don't need to be passing different parts of the work to different organisations. You can leave the matter with us, know that it's in safe hands, and we can manage the entire process. Not a lot of other companies can do that, and certainly very few high court enforcement firms, if any, can do that.
Mm. And I think from the point of view of debt recovery solicitors who might see us in competition, I've had that since we started doing debt recovery, which was really an experiment by the sheriffs to find out where judgments came from. That's how we got into doing the wider piece around debt recovery. But I think what we like to do is partner with, and you do this every day, partner with knowledgeable firms to add on the enforcement piece to what they're doing in the front end with their clients in their part of the country, and to make sure that they have that seamless approach themselves, so that they look they're getting the best reports, the best outcomes from their enforcement if they need to get to that stage. And I think that's where we add value, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of friends in the solicitors world, but if you're sitting there feeling that, well, Shergroup's a competitor, no, we're not. We're a facilitator. We help you and your clients look good. That's how I see our job, is to help you look good and give you the best results possible. And where that works for solicitors, and we have solicitor fans, then you can read it on our Google reviews. But we really do make you shine because you've chosen us as your enforcement provider, added to your debt recovery solution yourselves. Um, and what about solicitors who have to recover their own debt? I mean, who are not into debt recovery? Maybe they're doing something else. What do we say to those guys? I mean, there's a whole community of solicitors out there. What do we say to them and their firms?
Well, obviously we can assist them. I mean, I found that a lot of solicitor firms have a debt recovery presence on their website, but it's not something that they actually do. Whereas obviously we have great expertise in that area. So as I said, a lot of firms do have that. It's not something that they do themselves. So in those instances, we can assist them.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of professional practices are very anxious about understandably, taking action against their clients and suing their clients. But I don't see, I mean, yes, okay, issuing a claim is suing your client, but it's an escalation of process. And I think that if you outsource that, if you give it to a professional practice like Shergroup, we'll take it, and we'll talk to your client that you had no choice. You had to escalate it to the next stage. And if you see debt recovery as just an escalation of your credit control process, then it doesn't seem quite so aggressive with your customer, because they're probably in the same boat, having to think about their cash flow and what they're going to do with their customers. So the whole thing is just escalating the debt and moving it along a process, isn't it?
Yes, and of course, in those instances, in my experience, they tend to be paid fairly quickly on the majority of occasions. So
Which is what we
there's
want.
no
We want to
need
see
to
them
run up.
paid early.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, there's no need to run up disproportionate high bills dealing with defences and so on, because quite often they are paid when the claim form is received.
Yeah, I think we've had one firm this week that have given us £100,000 worth of unpaid bills
Mm.
that they just didn't know what to do with. And I just worry how many other solicitors are out there, particularly after this last 2 years, who haven't been able
Mm.
to, who've invoiced or have been working but haven't been able to collect in their cash.
Yeah.
It's an acute situation, and I don't want any solicitor or any professional person, sitting there worrying about how they're going to call their cash in. We really can help you. So again, don't be shy about reaching out, just for an informal chat. Just to get the lay of the land really, and what your options are. I think that's important. Um, and then what about defences and counterclaims? I mean, we do see people that issue claims and have no idea that there's a defence and counterclaim coming back at them. What do you say about that in terms of people, being ready for that?
I
People get a
think
little bit
probably,
naive in my
yeah, I
opinion.
think probably a lot of people aren't ready for that. They're not au fait with the process, the steps, how the timings, particularly at the moment with the court and the delays.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are probably not au fait with that process, but of course we can talk them through the steps, we can advise them, we can complete their witness statements if necessary. If necessary, we can appoint an advocate. We can do all those things on their behalf, and we'll be very clear with them in relation to the costs.
yeah. I think sometimes, again, sabres get rattled when people start talking about taking people to court, and the response is, well, if you do that, I'm going to do this. And you need to evaluate and have your merits of your claim evaluated, which again we or other solicitors will do based on the evidence, and evidence of what happened. So making sure your terms and conditions are up to date, making sure you've got your audit trail of your customer's order, from the time that they contracted with you, having all those details on file in your customer database, your customer database, so that you really prep your system ready to take legal action, and you won't come unstuck partway through because, I don't know, a vital piece of paper was missing. So, you know, if you haven't done that already and you're in business, in any type of business, then do take stock of, you know, how you would tackle a legal claim if it landed on your desk, and make sure that you've got all your paperwork and your facts and figures in front of you. And if we need to, then we'll help you review those and put those together so that it all stacks up correctly for the claim. Because when the claim is issued, there is this requirement to sign a statement of truth, isn't there, Anthony? Which,
Yes, absolutely.
we'll
Yes,
talk about
yes.
that.
Well, obviously, we're acting on behalf of another third party, so of course it's absolutely vital that the statement of truth is signed, and that the details, figures, and situation that we're provided with is absolutely correct, because we don't want the matter to be thrown out by a district judge at some later point.
No. So we'll help people with that, but it is important that you know, you have a process whereby that all comes together, usually in your finance system. Your finance system will work out your debt and your interest, and your paper trail will confirm all the steps that you took to get to the issue of the claim stage. So always keep working on that process, especially if you're thinking about suing your customers. Now, the end result of all this activity, which I hope we've made seem a little less scary than perhaps when you started listening to this session, is that we end up with a county court judgment or a high court judgment, but usually a county court judgment, because county court claims can be anything up to, I think it's £100,000, certainly on MCOL, 999,000.
Yeah.
So if we're going to end up with a CCJ, or if it's a high court judgment, how do we help the creditor then, in terms of what Shergroup does?
Well, obviously, how we help the creditor then is we make application to the court to transfer up for the purposes of enforcement. Once we receive the sealed order, the notice of enforcement goes out to the debtor, and then the matter is then allocated to an officer to attend. And of course, you only have to see our TV show to see how that works. I've been showing people a clip of our TV show this morning, and they're very, very impressed.
Yeah, it's called The Bailiffs. Has been a great opportunity for us to show what we do with TV cameras following us, following strict protocols actually in the making of that show, both for COVID and for protection of privacy and public interest to broadcast. But it is important, and this is why we do the TV shows, and I keep saying this because I want government to hear me. You know, you can theorise about enforcement all you like, you can have all the working groups and, you know, green papers, white papers, legislation you like, but you have to see what happens on the doorstep. And unless you're going to go out with an enforcement agent, I've only ever seen one MP do that, and that was Brooks Newmark. So if you're listening, Brooks, well done, because you're still one of the only serving MPs that's ever actually gone out with an enforcement agent. Don't comment on what we do unless you've watched a TV show, because there's a lot of care and attention that's taken when handling the public and making sure that they get a balanced approach from the enforcement of the court's order. It's not the creditor's order, it's not our order, it's made by one of Her Majesty's judges, and we take that very seriously in Shergroup in terms of what we are doing and how we're going about it. So if anyone's watching this and wondering if it looks a casual process, it certainly isn't. And Anthony, you've seen us discussing cases where we have gone to removal, we're looking at removal, and generally, you know, walking through that procedure very, very carefully to make sure we tick all the boxes.
Yes.
When it comes to enforcement. And now you're on the inside of an enforcing business, as it were, having been a customer for a long time. Do you see that? Do you see us taking a lot of care with what we're doing?
Oh, absolutely. Because of course, when I was previously a customer, I sent my matter off for enforcement and sort of forgot about it. And then what seemed to happen on many, many occasions was then the money arrived. So I didn't really give a great deal of thought about it. But of course, the TV program is a real eye opener because it shows people exactly how it happens. Of course, it's not staged; it's all genuine and filmed as it is, and people that I've shown clips to this morning have been genuinely surprised at, firstly, how difficult the job of an enforcement officer can be, but
Yeah.
secondly, how well we have acted on the particular examples that I have shown and recovered the monies for our customers.
Yeah. This is all my working life, ever since I started in the office a long time ago. I've always supported the men and women on the front line of that job, because they do a hell of a difficult job. You know, in the TV show, you've got Chris and Alex, Casey, um, uh, you know, and Virgil, Mark, Sherry, they're and all the other agents. If I've missed anyone, forgive me. But they all do an incredibly difficult job, and then they're doing it in the TV show under the scrutiny of a TV crew. So that just made it doubly difficult for them. And they're very, very anxious to portray the High Court accurately because they take their appointment seriously. They're licensed, as I am licensed, and we're all trying to do the right thing here. So anyway, that may come across in the TV show, it may not. But I think from the point of view of hearing Anthony say what his view of life behind the scenes of an enforcement business is like is valuable. And thank you for showcasing us this morning at your BNI meeting. Shameless plug there for BNI. So, okay. So listen, thanks Anthony for all of that.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions about, you know, you've got a difficult debt or a CCJ on your desk and you don't know what to do with it, then you can just call us on 0203 588 4240. You can ask for Anthony. You can come through at hub@shergroup.com. Anthony and his colleagues as business solutions advisors are there to support you and have a no obligation chat with you about what you're trying to do. And I would say if you're getting no sense from the call because they're stretched, as all public services are, and you're getting no sense from your current provider, then give us a call and let's see if we can help you out. We're very happy to do that. And
Yes.
to all our friends and partners out there in all different spheres of the credit industry, we say thank you for your support of Shergroup. We're trying to do things a little differently here. We're trying to be good guys every day, and we're trying to ensure that the High Court remains the top of the tree in terms of how enforcement is conducted in England and Wales, and indeed the world. As I see England and Wales as a leader in enforcement, not just you know two small jurisdictions. The common law started here, and this is what we have spread across the world by hook or by crook, and it is the foundation of many legal systems in the world. So everything that we can do to improve it will send ramifications around the world just by other people looking at what we do. So thank you so much, Anthony. Thank you to Paul. I can see Paul's watching, Paul Amis. I think Paul Sandbrook was watching, and anyone else that we've missed today. Anthony, you need to get a fan club. These are all my Facebook people.
Don't think that will happen.
We need to get your Facebook people watching today in future. Okay. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good to talk to you and hope to hear from you if you've got a problem.